Hi, my name is Natalie and welcome to my YouTube channel, Bargello-a-GoGo, where today I'm going to be showing you how to make this Bargello embroidered tea light holder. So to make one of these tea light holders, you're going to need the following materials. First of all, you're going to need a sheet of 10 count plastic canvas. You're also going to need a pair of paper scissors that are quite sharp, so you can cut the plastic canvas to the size you need. You're also going to need a pen so you can mark off the plastic canvas when you're cutting out. You also need some embroidery scissors for cutting the threads. You'll need a size 18 tapestry needle, which will be used to sew through the plastic canvas. And the shades I recommend for this tea light holder is I've used the Appleton's tapestry wool, and you're going to need four skeins in total, and there's 10 meters in each of these skeins. So you're going to need shade 485, 664, 483 and 991B. So you'll need to mark out on the canvas the amount of squares the length requires. So for this you need to mark out 74 squares across by 31 squares up, and I recommend counting with your needle. So you can just go in the squares, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And once you get up to square 74, you just mark it off with your pen on the next square across. And then you do the same up here and mark off at 31 squares. So once you've marked out with your pen where you need to cut, you then just use your scissors and just cut along. It's very easy to cut, you'll just feel it sort of click between the scissors as you go, and you just cut along. I find it easier just to cut along the whole plastic canvas. And then you cut through where you've marked off 31 squares on the other side, although you technically count up 32, so you go in just from where you've marked your square there. So I'm just going to cut along that row now. And you'll have sufficient plastic canvas left over from the sheet where you can make some more as well. And there's your initial piece of plastic canvas we need to be able to make it into this tea light holder. So now we've cut our canvas, first of all we're going to get a thread from, what I'm going to use is shade 485. So I'm just going to take a length of that, just an arm's length is fine. And I'm just going to cut that. And I'm just going to join it to the needle, or thread the needle. I do have a video tutorial for threading needles, but what I like to do is just wrap it around the eye of the needle and just pop the wool through like that and pull that through. First of all, we need to start the pattern. As you can see, here's an example here where we've started the diamond part of this pattern, as per this one as well. So what I find that's the best place to start is here, and then work round and then work inwards and then out on this outer edge. So what you'll see from here is that there is some squares at the top and some squares at the bottom that I've not sewn in, and that's because you will do this whip stitch edging at the end, so you leave those blank, you don't sew in those ones. So first of all we're going to count in with our needle 13 squares and one up from the bottom, because we don't want to sew in these bottom ones. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then on the 13th hole, we're just going to bring our thread through. And we're just going to hold some thread at the back. And then we're going to count up 4 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So there'll be a total of 5 squares covered, because you've got one through a square already, and you count up 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you just pull your thread through like that, and you've got your first Bargello stitch. So using the stepping up technique in Bargello Embroidery, you're going to sew a total of 7 of these stitches this way up. So you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm just going to show you here. Again, just making sure you hold the back of the thread to keep it secure. And you're just going to sew 7, as per you would in stepping up your Bargello stitches. And again, I have a video tutorial on my YouTube channel that shows you how to step up Bargello stitches in Bargello Embroidery. And you're just making sure you catch the back of the thread there, just to secure that. So far I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I just need to do 2 more. You'll then see that you continue again stepping up here, and a further 6 more stitches. You sort of go in from this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're just going to continue that on our actual piece here. So we're just going to continue that on our actual piece here. So we're just going to go back into that one there, and I'm going to sew a further 6 of these stitches. So once you get to this point, you're now going to do what's known as stepping down the stitches. Again, I have a video tutorial that shows you how to do this. So as per this example here, you're just going to step down a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches again. So by doing that, you step down like this. So instead of going up, you're going down the stitches back down to this way. And again, once you get to that part, you're going to just step down one more time until you actually reach the end of this diamond. So I'll show you just how I do that. So we just go back into that stitch there, and then we just count down. And once you've sewn that final stitch, you're just going to join in the thread at the back of the stitches, and you just pop your needle through and you just pull that through, and then you just snip off the excess. And it keeps pretty secure in those stitches, but also keeps it quite neat. You'll see that I put the thread through the other parts, so from the previous one, just so it's not as thick on there. So the next shade we'll be sewing is this lighter colour here, which is the 664. So what we're going to do is fill in this diamond shape first of all. So again, we're just going to pull a good arm's length of the thread, and then we're going to thread our needle. So on here we're just going to join it in the stitching again. We're just going to start from the bottom again. There is room for you to join in another one there, just when you're starting on that one. And then we're just going to follow the lines of the Bargello stitches as per this pattern here. So we're just going to continue doing our Bargello stitches over the 4 squares. So there'll be a total of 5 squares that you'll, from when you put your needle in, and then you count up the 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to sew into this little section here as well, a bit like this one here, where it's got the 2, and you're going to have another 2 here. So you're just going to pop your needle through there and put your stitch in there, and then you're going to come back down there, and you're going to continue to step up the stitches on this part. Like that. And then you're just going to follow that the whole way round again. So when you get to the final stitch, you're just going to again pop your needle back through and make that final stitch, and then you're just going to join in your threads at the back. Now on this one, because it's slightly smaller, I would go up the length of the whole one side of the diamond just to keep that thread extra secure. So I'm just popping that through there, and I'm just going to fasten that off. So there you have another of your diamond parts completed. Now the next one we're going to be doing is this white shade here, which is shade 991B. And again, you're just going to follow around like you've done on the previous ones and just go around that as well. So again, you'll just have the inner diamond shape there. Now the last one we're going to do is this shade, and we're just going to do one for that, which is from the 483 shade. So I'm just going to join for the back here and pull that through. And then I'm just going to pop my needle through just to the bottom of that white diamond on the other side, on the wrong side of the work, just so I can pop a stitch through. Just going to pop one stitch in there. But I'm not going to fasten off, I'm actually going to continue the thread through the other stitches so we can make a starting point on one of these sides here. So I'm just going to show you how to do that now. So I'm just going to work the wool through here, work my needle through here, just to this little corner point here. So I'm going to initially pop my needle through the middle, the next square along here. And again, I'm going to do a stepping up of 3 stitches here. Now I also need to do one further stitch to match because we need a straight edge here, and these are known as compensation stitches. So they're not necessarily the same size stitch or length as the other stitches. They're slightly shorter, and again you just need to put those in when you're doing a straight line just to get it to match, because you don't want it, you do it when you're trying to achieve a certain shape, normally on squares or rectangles. This works well on the compensation stitches. So instead of sewing up 4, I'm actually going to sew up a total of 2, count 2 squares. So it's going to be 1, 2. So it matches the one next to it, the stitch next to it. So it's over a total of 3 squares, including where your actual thread has come through. So I'm just going to do 1, 2, pop that through. And then I just need to do another one across. So I missed that stitch that I've just done. I come across 1, and again I do another compensation stitch of 2 squares, and I go into that square. You'll see there's no gaps in the stitches here because you don't want the canvas showing through, so you do tend to sew into the same squares on these. Again, I have previous video tutorials that show you how to sew the stitches together. And then you're just going to sew another long stitch into that one. And again, you're going to go up the middle of the next, what would be the middle of the long previous stitch, put into the next square across. And you're going to again do a compensation stitch because you still want this straight line across here, so you're just going up, counting up 2 squares there, and then you're going across here, and then you're going just underneath that stitch you've just sewn, and you're just going to sew another stitch down, so 1, 2, 3, 4, like a full stitch on that one, just next door there. And then you're going to go onto the one next door, and you're going to count up into the 3rd square next door from the previous stitch from the bottom there. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3, and you're just going to pull that through, your needle through, and you're going to count up to the top there of that stitch. And then once you're doing that, you just got one more stitch here to do, and again it's a compensation stitch just over the 2 here. And that's your first corner of the star part complete. And you'll see on here there's 2 squares left that haven't got any stitches on at all, and that's because at the end you're going to be joining this edge here, so you'll need them spare 2 squares for the whip stitch to join that through. So what I would then do, because I've got sufficient yarn here, is I would then continue to sew and mirror that edge and then that one and that one. Here I would just again take my needle down to an area through some other stitches where I need to start the next part, like that. And I would initially start with the first stitch here, and I would count down the 4 squares. 1, 2, 4. And then I would step down the 3 like we did at the other side, the mirror image again, so you're counting down again the 4 squares each time on this part, just 3 times. And then you've got your compensation stitch there at the edge there. And then you just continue to sew these stitches. Just through, like that. You'll find your own way of doing these and how this works for you. You can see it's all sort of neat at the back there. You've just got one more stitch to do just here. If you want to make it neater, you can just, when you're coming back through, because you'll get like a loop over the stitch, you can just go underneath it like this at the back, a top tip there, and then it just keeps it all tidy and underneath. And then we just go back through here. And then you're just going to repeat those stitches for the other side. So again, you're going to start the middle here and then work it round as you've done here. So once you finish that corner one, again you just your needle back through the stitches to the position where you need to go back to finish the other side, and you're just literally mirroring the other side of the stitches there. So you're going to go back through here, and again just continue as per the other 3 sides through that. And then again you're just going to fasten off at the back once you finish that complete edge there, and that's your first star completed. So you'll see you've got the gap of the square at the top and the bottom for where you do your whip stitch edging, and 2 gaps left spare here as well for when you're going to be doing the side part of your whip stitch edging as well. So the top parts and then that part. So for the next star, I would recommend starting the diamond shape again before you do the outer edges, just because you've got the even stitches here, so I think it's really helpful to have that as a base and then do the outer part of the star. So on this next one, we've got this shade here, which is shade 483, that we're going to be starting the outer diamond with. And what you need to do is initially, I'll just show you here, you're going to count across 24 squares. So counting from where the last stitch was worked at the bottom here of this star on the diamond shape, you go across to the next square and count 24, and when you get to the 24th square, you're just going to again just pop through your stitch here and then you're just going to work that diamond shape around like that one. So you're just going to do initially your stepping up stitches, making sure you secure the back of the thread whilst you're working these stitches, and you're just going to go around and make another diamond shape like you did here. So we've done the diamond here, and now the next one you're going to need of the shades is this darker one here, which is 485, and again, like this one, you're just going to fill in the diamond shape. So once you've sewn that part, that shade, you then need your shade 991B here. So again, you're just going to sew that around like this one here in the same area, like this on the Tealight holder. So I've now sewn that in a diamond with the white shade, and now I'm going to sew the final Bargello stitch using shade 664, as per the same one here. So I'm just going to thread through and do the stitches the same way I did on this one, but with this colour wool now. So once you've completed the next star, you've just got one more to do along here. So again, you're just going to count across the 24 squares and start your diamond where the 24 squares are. And you're going to initially start again like this one here. So you're going to start with this shade of the diamond shape, which is the 664. So as you can see, I've now done the next diamond shape there on the outer edge, and now I'm going to be using, as per this one here, shade 483, and again I'm just going to sew that in a diamond shape in there, starting at the bottom here. So I'm just on the final part of the diamond here, so I've used the white shade as I have here on these parts. Now the main part of this next one is the darker shade, the 485, so that shade, as per that star shape there. So again, I'm just going to pop a stitch through there, and then I'm just going to work through and match all these sides for this final one. So now your 3 stars are fully sewn, as you can see here. See on this edge here, you've got 3 extra squares here where there hasn't been any stitching, and then you've got the 2 squares there. And that's so to enable you to join the whip stitch edge in here. That's why there's the gaps there, and it just gives a break from the Bargello stitch in here as well, so that all lines nicely on there. Next we're going to join the Tealight holder so that it's in the round, like this example here, and we're going to use the white thread to do the whip stitch edging. So what you need to do is just overlap, so you've got the 2 squares underneath here. You've got 3 in total that are blank, but you just matching it to the last 2 on this edging with the 2 blank ones here. So you just need to line them up like that. Now a top tip, if you're struggling to sort of hold this when you want to sew, is to grab yourself like a bulldog clip or something, so you can align it one end like this and match up the 2 holes or squares on the edge in there, and then you just, once you've aligned that, you just pop that on, so it just keeps that part in place whilst you're doing your sewing this end. So initially you're going to stitch into the 3rd square here that is above the 2 double squares plastic together. So you're just going to pop your needle through there. And you just need to leave a long tail just at the back here that you're going to be winding up and going through as you sew down, because there isn't any stitches to sort of put that backing in, so we just need to keep hold of that for the moment, and make sure you just keep your finger on there. So you've got your first stitch through there, and then on that same row you're going to go down 2 squares, so 1, 2, and you're going to make sure when you do that you catch the other square on the back of the same row on the double layer of the plastic canvas. So you just pop that through and you're catching the underside here, and you just pull your needle through, making sure you're still keeping your finger on the thread at the back of that work, and you just pull that thread through like that, making sure you're still holding the back, and that's your first stitch over. And then you go to the one next door, here on there, and again you pop your needle back through. Here you just keep this thread just at the back. What you're aiming for is for these stitches at the back here to go over this thread, just to secure it as you go along. So again you just count down 2 squares, making sure it's still overlapping the underneath plastic there. So you just count down 2, and you're just literally going into the one again next door on that stitch there, and you just got to pull it through. It might be a bit slightly fiddly, and you just got to keep them fairly tight, a bit of tension on them, but not too tight, but enough so that it's secure in that. And again you just go back down to the next one, the next stitch there, you can see there, and you pop your needle through. And again you just go 2 squares down with your needle, and you just pop it through to the next square, making sure you're still catching the underneath square as well where it's overlapped. And again you just pop it through, and you just continue doing that until you get to 1 square before the end, and then I'm going to show you how to secure that. But again we leave a gap for the whip stitch edging around the top on the other end too, so we don't sew into that first square there, and we just keep going through like this. So when you get to this point here, you won't be touching any of the actual stitches here. You're not going into the same squares of those, you're going to the one below where you've got the empty row. You just pop that through, and again the same this side. And as you can see, it's making a nice sort of join here as well on the back. You'll have so when you get to the last stitch, you'll have some blank squares here that you don't sew into, and leave empty, as I said, for the beginning, because of the other whip stitch edging you will be doing. And what you need to do, so I've just shown quickly here, I would normally carry all that thread all the way in there, but I just wanted to show you just what I meant by when you carry the stitches over on this side and underneath, you're catching that underneath the stitches so that it secures it. And normally I would have done that a bit longer, but I just wanted to show you exactly what I meant here for the video. So I'm just going to snip that there. So now you're going to do that the same way on this side. So all you're going to do is just thread through several rows, and you're going to thread this through. So you're just going to pull that thread through, with your needle. So you just gotta put your fingers in there and just pull that. There we go. And you'll see that's now been threaded through. And then you just snip off the excess, which actually might be easier from this end. So that's the first part of the whip stitch edging completed. And now we need to just do the whip stitch edging around the top and bottom here. So to do the top, we're just going to pop the needle through here. So just pull it through and not too tight, otherwise the thread will come out. So you just want the thread to sit through a few of the rows of the wrong side of the stitching. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go into this first square here up on the join. I'm actually going to go one underneath it. And then you're just going to pull that needle through. And then you've made your first whip stitch on the top there. And you're going to go to the row next to that one. And again, a second square down, so not that top square. You're going to go to the second one down. And again, you're just going to pull your needle through. And then you're just going to pop it over the top and then go through to the next square just below. So I'll try and do that a bit slower to show you. So you get your needle, you pop it in the square next door to that one, and you pull the thread through. So you're getting this overlap over the top edge of the canvas. And then you just continue that until you get all the way round back to here. So when you get to these parts here where you've got a stitch there from the Bargello stitch of the star, you literally just go into that same square when you're whip stitching. So you just pop in to there like that on that second row, and you just continue to still whip stitch round. So it will just sit there with the other one, like where these share a square as well. And then you just continue to go round. So when you get to the end, you just do a second stitch into the very first whip stitch that you did. And the reason we do this is just to give sufficient coverage over the join of this plastic canvas edge. So you're just going to go back over and then again just secure it through several of the stitches on the wrong side of the whip stitch underneath on this section here, and pull your needle through and then just snip off the excess thread there. So that's one edge completed, and now you just need to do the same for the other side. And now your tea light holder is complete. So what I'd recommend is a little glass holder. I've put some information in the description below about the sizes that would work well with this. Just pop that in. And then I'd also recommend an LED candle, since a real flame candle could damage the plastic canvas and the tapestry wall, or the heat could possibly melt it. So for safety, I would always recommend using an LED candle. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video tutorial. If you'd like the actual materials in a kit to make this tea light holder, I've actually got them available on my website if you click on the link in the description below, and you can actually make 2 tea light holders with this kit. Thanks again for watching.